A number of years ago, we received a request by phone from an entity that we did not recognize. It was a company called L-Tech Industries at the time. And they had seen a small ad we had placed in a magazine that we produced conductive coatings. And they requested a small sample to do some trial work, but they were not very definitive in terms of what the end product was. We accommodated as we would for most any request for a sample. And after a short period of time, we received a call, and they said that they were impressed with the product, but they would like us to tweak the product or adjust it accordingly for additional conductivity. And again, we were not privileged to have the end product or what the end use was. We made the modifications, we sent a sample. That seemed to perform because shortly thereafter we received an order for a small trial, a 5-gallon container, so they could do a little pilot run testing. Shortly after that time period, the customer had asked us for a drum, that they wanted to purchase a drum of product and upscale, go to their pilot line to the next step. That seemed to perform fairly well because the next thing we knew, we received an order by fax for 60 55-gallon drums. And when that order was brought to my attention, I kind of challenged it, I guess is probably the right word to use. I took the opportunity to call this customer and say that we just received this order and we thank you, but you may have made a mistake because you've only purchased a drum of material and now you're asking for 3,330 gallons or 60 drums. The gentleman on the other end said, yes, that is correct. And I said, well, I'm very pleased to hear that, but I'm not going to manufacture it and sell it to you at this point. And he was kind of taken aback by that, and he wanted to know why. And I said, well, first off, we have no idea of what your end application is, and we assume a responsibility for the products we manufacture. With that, he agreed to allow myself and one of our technical people to travel to their corporate offices and laboratories in Ohio. And after we signed numerous documents, we were shown a little bit more of what the actual end product was going to be. The first thing they showed us was a roll of foam. And it's very, very thin in terms of the thickness of the foam. It was about a 6-foot long roll. And what they were doing was applying this coating that we had sent them in the drum to this roll. And it was being force cured through an oven, and at the other end was being rolled up. And I said, well, that's a very novel application, but it still doesn't tell me what you're going to do with this foam. And I said, well, this is only step one. The next process we went to in the next building, it showed that a foam that had been coated with our conductive coating was now being plated with nickel metal. And that also was being cured through a process, and it was being actually heated to 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit and re-rolled on the other end. And when I questioned why they were heating it so high, they said that they wanted to do a number of things. They wanted to temper the metal, of course, to make it flexible, and they also wanted to sublimate or remove the foam and the conductive coating that was applied to the foam. And that was very impressive to us, and I said, that's fine, but what are you going to do with all this plated nickel foam that you have? The next building we went into, they actually showed us what they were doing with the end product. The nickel foam was now capable of storing stored energy for batteries because the structure of the foam itself had a lot more surface area, and they were impregnating this nickel foam with cadmium paste under high pressure. And they were forming very thin, lightweight, long-lasting batteries for the use such as cell phones, laptop computers, hearing aids, possibly for equipment that would be in space that needed long-term battery life. And needless to say, we were quite impressed, and it just shows that, again, our innovation that we have with our people and having the ability to be a pharmacist, so to speak, to take a customer's prescription and to develop a product speaks for itself. And we're very proud of this particular application.